Hey everyone, I'm Lucy, and today I'm joined by Raphael Colantonio, President and Creative Director at WolfEye Studios, here to talk a little bit about Weird West. Raphael, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting.
And I think let's start off, everyone kind of knows you from working at Arkane, where you worked on Dishonored and Prey. The Dishonored series is very, very close to my heart, so I am genuinely very buzzing to speak to you. Can you talk a little bit about what it felt like leaving Arkane to set up a brand new studio and now being here and kind of showing your brand new game off to the world?
Well, I mean, leaving Arkane was very difficult because it was my baby. We had a great team. I was a huge friend with Harvey Smith, and it was more of a personal thing after 18 years of anything, whether it's marriage, whether it's it's just a very long chunk of life, and I think. I saw Arkane as being its own thing at this point. He was 18 years old. It's like a kid. He goes out of home, and that's it. And I felt it was time for me to seek something different. And frankly, back then when I left, and there was so many reasons, none of them really related to any of. I love Bethesda. I have great relationship with them. I'm so glad we did Dishonored and Prey. And I'm really happy with Arkane. It's more like I felt at this point that maybe I just didn't even want to work for AAA games anymore.
Good morning, Morgan. Today is Monday, March 15th, 2032. Good morning, Morgan. Today is Monday, March 15th.
I needed a break. I needed to focus on other projects that I had, some music stuff. I wanted to spend some time with my son is also 18 actually, and he's going to go to France, so I wanted to spend some time with him. So there's a lot of personal things, it just felt like I need some sort of a reboot, like I need to redefine myself. So yeah, that's pretty much how I left. And back then, frankly, I did not even know what I would do. I would deliberately wanted to kind of go almost like on a meditation moment where I would let myself feel a little bit before I would make a decision of what I would do next. I knew I didn't want to do more AAA. It's just I've had this experience. It was fantastic. I enjoyed it. But then once I had it out of my system, there was a little bit of that same kind of thing that bothered me over the years. The more the industry was making progress towards more technology, more bigger budget, bigger teams, more money, I found it to be a little pressuring as far as my desire for exploring creative endeavors and taking risks, etc. So anyway, as I was taking a break for a while, my friend, also former Arkane Studios, by the way, Julien Roby, who was our executive producer on since practically the beginning of Arkane, actually. He had this desire to create something, to create a company, and so I consulted for him for a while, and as well I was consulting for other people, for other people in the game industry, and eventually I joined that company and became the president and creative director.
So where in the process did the inspiration for Weird West come from?
So first you have to go back to what is it that Julien and I have always liked, right? And even from the very, very beginning when we started to make games, both of us were huge fans of two games, Ultima VII and Ultima Underworld. And people know better System Shock, I think, than Ultima Underworld. And as far as Ultima VII, people would maybe refer to things like Fallout, or these kind of games. The thing about the first-person games, so System Shock, and then eventually, Deus Ex for Harvey when he joined Arkane, and for me it was Dark Messiah, Arx Fatalis, and then we made Dishonored. Those games they require more and more fidelity and higher team production, etc. But the other side, the Ultimate style and the Fallout style, etc., which is more like it's more like a remote view, top-down-ish kind of thing, doesn't require so much fidelity, yet the depth and the type of interactions are actually fairly similar to an immersive sim. So I had explored, and Julien as well, the first-person immersive sim as much as we could, and we had never explored the more like ISO immersive sim that felt to me what was Ultima back then, really. A lot of interactions. It was action-driven kind of thing. So it was a mix of RPG and action, and a lot of possibilities, a lot of different ways to be able to achieve the goals and explore a world. So we thought that would be a good thing to both move away from the AAA thing in an elegant way, and yet keeping a lot of the values that are so important to us.
So where did the themes come from? So you have this mix of the occult and the Wild West. And how have you brought those two together?
I think the thing about Weird West, so it's a genre that exists. It's a very niche genre, and it has been rarely put forward in the game world, and it presents some really, really compelling aspects. One of them is that it's familiar because the Wild West, everybody knows it. There's something really raw, and there's no law, so you can really do whatever you want in the Wild West. The same way medieval as was a little bit the same. And then the Weird West is really the equivalent of the medieval fantasy to the Wild West, really. It's you take a genre that people kind of, they understand, they have some cliches in their head, and we're modifying some of those and making it our own. But then you add the fantasy part of it, and now you really have an interesting world that is people can both associate cliches and their perception of what the Wild West and expectation would be, plus the bizarre, right? The monsters and the mysteries, the occult, and all that. And for that side of things, we like, Edgar Allan Poe or Lovecraft, and horror in general is something that is exciting to us. Now, this is not a horror game at all, right? It's more like it's an exploration, action exploration, RPG type of game, in which there are some bizarre and mysterious aspects that the player is going to have a chance to interact with and dig deeper.
How present are those kind of occult, magical themes and influences going to be from the very beginning? Because I think when you're coming into a game that has a Western look, you kind of know as a player what to expect. You'll be doing some gunslinging, you'll be, dueling with people. What else are we going to be able to do? The
game starts in a very familiar Wild West type of setup, avenging someone, or this kind of thing, which is very, very canon to the Wild West movies and genre. And the people that you meet, sheriff, and you'll be used to that word. It's just that we're gonna little by little insert some weird in it, and hopefully you'll open that door and understand more and more of what's behind the world.
So what's that core gameplay loop gonna look like?
We say it's an action RPG, right? The same way immersive sims are action RPGs. What defines an immersive sim compared to an action RPG as a global genre is probably the fact that there's a few rules that are very a cohesive world. The world exists without the player. Every door can be opened. Nothing is fake. There's a lot of simulation. There's a lot of sandbox aspect to it, so that most of the players' actions are recognized by the game, and there's not like one way to do things, and then there are consequences to what you do. This kind of things is always something that is super exciting to us, and also the fact that it's resolved by action as opposed to being resolved by stats. So the game stays some sort of a very visceral experience where you move around with the character and like grab objects and throw them around. It makes a noise. A character reacts to the noise. He calls another character. All these kind of things that is so dear to the kind of values that we've always had. And so that doesn't change really. It's just that the perspective, instead of being like from the first person, is more remote. And we're playing with the camera as well, and we're trying to see how much we can push it down so that it's almost at this point I wouldn't say it's a third person, but it's not top down so much. It's somewhere in between, and you can have several characters. So you're controlling one character, but you have other characters with you that can do stuff as well. And so the core loop does look very much like somewhere between what you expect of a top-down-ish RPG, where you explore a world in a travel map and you go to locations, and between the locations you can have something happening, like you discover something, or you're being attacked by something, or some event in general, and you have quests and side quests, and that's the structure, and it's actiony, but at the same time you make your choices. So again, a little similar to what we've done in the past, but like more of an open world version of that, and more of a remote camera type of that.
So you mentioned multiple characters. I know you get to play as more than one. How does that work? Am I speccing one character and then seeing their story through to the end, and then kind of replaying the game? How does this work?
Yes, so we have something that might or might have been done before, I'm not sure, frankly, where instead, so for most RPGs that I've played personally, it's you play one main quest, basically, with one character from the beginning to the end. On this one, again, I'm not saying, I don't know if we're the first one or not, but on this one, you're going to play a different set of characters. So you play like 5 journeys, and each of those characters, they have, at the beginning, they appear, they have a reason to be in this world and a quest, and as they finish it, then something happens and there's a story behind that. It's like a relay of heroes. Then suddenly you play with another hero, and your previous hero is still in the world. Is still like, it goes back to his farm or whatever was the story for them. And you as the next hero can still find that previous hero in the world and recruit them so that now they can play in your party as a follower. And then you keep going like this until the end.
You worked on these huge games like Dishonored and Prey, and like taking time and approaching something fresh, and now you've been able to had that reveal at the Game Awards, and I think you've got a beta coming up soon. Like, you've been working in games for so long now. How has the industry changed, and how has your relationship to it changed?
Well, I mean, I'm 49 years old, so I'm definitely not the same person as I was when we announced our very, very first game, my first personal game, when I was around 29. Yeah, the world has changed. I've changed. I describe it as playing New Game Plus in a way. It's like when you finish the game and and you already know a lot, and then you have like some new superpowers, kind of thing. And that's how it feels. It's exciting. It's still interesting, but it's a very different experience now. I don't have like so much of it's not the same type of excitement. It's more this time it's having something really much smaller as a structure. We're much smaller, and we still feel like people are excited about this game. It was surprising and touching that people are so excited about what we're doing next. So for us, it's a new adventure. It's very different times. It's hard to compare it because sometimes people ask me, hey, can you tell us how you started Arkane? How can I start now this new company? And I have no idea. It's like the context is so different. It always changes. So and the industry is not set up the same way. There's one constant is you have to work hard, very, very hard, having strong ethics and like this energy to pull things together and do what you say, etc. Like very, very accountable. Other than that, the rest is a lot of luck and talent. But the talent is, a lot of people have talent, so luck is part of it. And staying on top, believing it's possible. So yes, it is exciting. It's also scary, frankly. After Arkane became much bigger than I even realized. We started so tiny that it was like one day at a time over 18 years. Of becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and so it's not even that one day we win the lottery and we go like, yeah, that's it, we made it. It was like we just never realized we actually made it. And when you leave that, you don't have the same power after that. If we say anything to the press, it doesn't have the same weight than when I was part of Arkane. So it is scary, obviously. It's exciting. It's just a new adventure.
Well, Raph, it's been so lovely speaking to you. Weird West is just so many of my things that I love combined into one. So when can we get our hands on it?
There's going to be some sort of a closed beta or some sort of test that some of the people can actually access to. I still don't know what are the detail around that. Devolver is probably managing this, and I trust them entirely. They've been really great with us. I would expect a few months from now, something that's probably going to be something to put your hands on. So again, some of you, it's not a public demo or anything like that.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And for everything, all the biggest new announcements from this summer, make sure to stay tuned to GameSpot.